Hello, and welcome to the 22nd episode of the Talos Principle. Last episode, we cleared through level 6 and got everything there is to get there. And I also just noticed that these X's are the same graphic, just some of them are flipped. But this episode, we should go through level 7. And would you believe it? The last level, before those doors open. Seems like only yesterday the series started. Let's not ramble on anymore for now.
My faith in you was not misplaced. You have learned much and shown great wisdom in these trials. The end of your journey lies close now. Do not falter, do not fear, and do not give in to temptation.
Now this isn't the first time that I've gone through this area. I mean, yes, I completed the game before, but for the Let's Play, this isn't the first time, because I like to go through the areas and try to ramble on a bit about a subject just to get an idea of what I want to talk about, and then I'll return, complete all the sigils again with, much more knowledge on how to do so. The point is, I've been here before, and last time Alexandra's recordings weren't available, and Milton didn't want to talk to us. So it was a glitch the last time.
God, there's no time. Just not enough time. We're trying to build the future out of old video game code and half-finished research projects. We should have had years, maybe decades, with the kind of money they used to put into building bombs. If I stop and think about how crazy this is, I will have a nervous breakdown. So I won't. Yeah, okay. Back to work, Alex.
Once again, a bit of a meta joke or a meta statement, as the Talos Principle uses the same game engine as the Serious Sam games.
Intelligence is more than just problem solving. Intelligence is questioning the assumptions you're presented with. Intelligence is the ability to question existing thought constructs. If we don't make that part of the simulation, all we'll create is a really effective slave.
This is sort of a hint of what you really are supposed to do, like what the creators want you to do. They don't want a really effective slave, so you shouldn't be the kind of robot to just listen to whatever some authority tells you to do. An authority like Elohim, perhaps? Also, I got the achievement for listening to all of Alexandra's recordings. I have no idea how I didn't get that one in my first playthrough. I must have accidentally missed one, perhaps. This place should be cold, but I don't feel cold. It's as if I was observing everything from a distance. It's pointless. Archipos 6. Well, we are robots, and there's no indication we have a nervous system. So it makes a bit of sense why we wouldn't feel the cold. Though, to be fair, there's really no physics to the snow either. We can run through it at top speed, no problem. Well, apparently Milton doesn't want to talk to us. See, things are starting to shut down in the lab due to the disease killing off everyone. Seems like a very weird text to have at the very end of the game. Seems like that should be something at the beginning, like all these different concepts and then it starts to hone in on what it means to be a person. In any case, in the year 2017, what today's nationalists and neo-segregationists, we can also add social justice warriors to it, because this whole abhorrence to culture sharing aspects of themselves, their outfits, their music, their holidays, their celebrations, whatever. That's something they're very much against. It's quote-unquote cultural appropriation. As I said before, most of the time I'd play through the game and then stop recording, go back to when I started and play through again with more to say. But I'm going to keep this segment of video no matter what happens, whether or not I decide to start over again or not, simply because I don't want to run into a glitch where the recordings or anything important is not available to us. Unlike a lot of previous episodes, I'm actually going to talk about what Alexandra was discussing. What a concept, actually talking about the things discussed in the game itself rather than rambling on about whatever the hell crossed your mind before starting the game. She mentioned that without the ability to dissent, without the ability to say no to a task, that the robot she's created, us, the player character here, is no more than a really effective slave. I think a lot of people would agree, let's face it. They don't want to be a slave, they want to have autonomy over themselves and their lives. And that's good. They should want to have autonomy over themselves and their lives. However, I notice that whenever it comes to the whole atheism versus theism debate, a lot of the objections to the atheist side from theists is that there's no one to dictate things to the person, no ultimate authority. How do you know what's right from wrong if all the people making the rules have subjective knowledge of things? How do you know what's truly real and factual if there's no authority who is the basis of all further knowledge? Puzzle. Not that one. We already went through that one. This one. Alright, I'm going to break thought here for a moment. I want to mention that this was actually the last puzzle that I completed in the game. And interestingly enough, or more accurately, annoyingly enough, when I completed the puzzle, the Elohim's gates opened up and was able to go through and get eternal life, yada yada. You know how that goes. But I knew that wasn't there were more endings in the game, and that wasn't the only one, and I don't even think it was a desirable one, even before I knew what the real ending of the game was supposed to be. So I had to go back a sigil or two after completing the Elohim one, and for whatever reason it took me back before I even did this one. So then I had to quickly run through this whole puzzle again, which was a bit of a drag, if I do say so myself. Wait. Silly me, there's one more thing that needs to be done. Over here. Let's open up that one. And we want to use this one. Might as well just select as many as I can, right? Really ain't hard in it. So I had to go through this one again, and as I said before, it was a bit of a drag. So that's just a stupid little story. We're almost done with this one. Just gotta make this one here. Then we can grab this. And what we got? So not going back to this one. Accidentally got lost there for a minute because I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah, so that's a little story of mine, but anyways, what I was talking about before the little story, you know, despite people claiming they want to be free, I find that so many of them seem to revere an authority no matter what. Like, the very prospect of not having an authority for something like morality or as a foundation of all knowledge seems ludicrous to some people. Isn't to say that, like, you should ignore any and all authority on principle. That would be a bit silly. But simply accepting something because an authority said it is silly. Like, you can look at what an authority is saying and come to your conclusion based on your own reasoning, the facts you know and have learned, and all that stuff, and find, oh yeah, that person's actually quite right, in my opinion. I think that person's actually, what you're saying is quite accurate. Should be one other one. There. Alright, here we go. I'm stupid. But just accepting something because X said it is in of itself a logical fallacy, an argument from authority, of all things. With how high and visible this is, you'd think it would be one of those stars that you have to connect multiple things together. Like, let's see if you can actually do it here. Can I go here and... Nope, doesn't look like it. Yeah, there's lasers just peeking over, but surprisingly it's not one of those stars that you have to connect together multiple laser things. This whole idea of people wanting to be slaves to a god authority rather than a human one, but the whole idea being rather abhorrent nonetheless, is something Hitchens has said. And it's true, it's rather odd, if not a bit contradictory, that people would have this super huge distrust of human authority, fallible as we are, but then clamor for a supernatural authority. And this supernatural authority is no better than human authority, because at the end of the day, it's human beings who are dictating what this supernatural authority wants. Let's just ruin this guy's day, huh? It's like, they say that this human authority is, for example, Catholics believe that when the Pope proclaims something in Latin, it's the official language of God, and what he's proclaiming is what God truly believes, and why not God just tell everybody what he thinks himself? Why not he just communicate in all our minds? Alright, you know, I've changed my mind on the whole purgatory thing. Unbaptized children, you know, they go straight to heaven. They don't have to fuck around in purgatory. And it's even more true back in the Middle Ages, when this stuff was especially popular and the largest basis of society and its laws, because communication between people was so poor. God can give a revelation to the Pope, the Pope gives it to his cardinals, and they have to travel out far and wide to explain this to all the priests, and that could take days, weeks, months. It could take a fucking year if you have to travel around the world. Seems like a very arbitrary, nonsensical standard to deny human beings, flawed as they are, to be the standard for something like morality, or our senses being accurate in determining how the world works, or anything like that. But then you go on to say that a supernatural standard is an objective one that must always be followed and is always right. And the only way you can comprehend this supernatural thing is through naturalistic means, oddly enough. Your senses, words of other people. I mean, even all these holy books, which are supposedly perfect for all time and for all of humanity, the best standards of morals and rules for society, people disagree on what those holy books mean all the time. Entire sects of religions like Protestantism versus Catholicism have come from squabbling over what the rules should be. If they are perfect and self-evident and should be the basis for all time, then why do they keep changing? Why does God say something is abhorrent, wrong, and awful in the Old Testament, and then He's somehow fine with it for anyone who follows the New Testament? Is that not a change in morality from the supposed objective foundation, from the unchangeable, the unmutable source? It's just a bunch of people making up the rules as they go on. For power, for practical reasons. It's always just been us trying to figure out how to live our lives and how to go about day to day, and you shouldn't be a slave to anyone, natural or supernatural. I've rambled on about this in the previous episode, but it's worth saying again. You should find morality by examining history and the facts of society, the sciences, philosophies. Read up on as much as you can. Think about situations with your empathy. If you think a rule should dictate all of society, imagine yourself in that society as someone who has nothing to their name and just arrived. Would you be hurt by that rule? Would that rule be of a detriment to you? You don't have to follow an authority unquestioningly, and you don't have to deny any authority without hesitation simply based on the fact they're an authority. Sometimes you might find the laws other people have come up with are quite agreeable. Sometimes you might disagree on some details or premises. You know, it's what you gotta do, I think, in order to move forward as a person. What do I know? I'm just some jackass playing a video game about a robot collecting Tetris pieces. Let's finish this up. I've rambled on enough.
And so it is done. You have overcome each trial that I set before you. You have shown faith and wisdom and perseverance. Therefore I judge you worthy, and I say unto you, come to the gates of eternity, where you shall be granted everlasting life.
Even though the doors have opened, there's still some stuff that needs to be done. There's these star levels, and there's these ones locked behind the wood here. Next episode, I will start on the star levels. There's 3 of them, so there might be 3 episodes. And how I go about those episodes will be a tad bit different, as you'll see when I make them. But anyways, that kind of concludes this one. I I find it kind of funny that there's no light effects coming from the door itself. You'd think there'd be like a ton of light hitting this side of the column, but apparently not. Anyways, I hope I gave you something to think about and you otherwise enjoyed the episode. Take care.